Hey guys, I hope you're doing well. It's good to see you again. As I'm sure you all know, today is Good Friday, and Good Friday is actually a very important day for us as Christians because it's the day where we remember the sacrifice that Christ paid for us 2,000 years ago. I'm going to take 3 minutes quickly to talk about what Christ did and why He did it for us. And if you go back to the beginning of the Bible, in Genesis 1, you see creation, where God created everything. And in Genesis 1 verse 26, we see God creating humans. And it tells us that man was made in the image of God, perfect and without sin. God created Adam and Eve, and He put them in the Garden of Eden, and He gave them authority over every other created thing. But more importantly, they were in the presence of God. You see, us as humans, we're created to be in the presence of God. However, if you fast forward to Genesis 3 verses 6 and 7, you see the fall of man. Adam and Eve disobey God, and they eat the fruit that God forbade them from eating. This was the first sin, the original sin. And because God is a perfect and holy God, He cannot allow sin into His presence. And so Adam and Eve were exiled from the Garden of Eden, and therefore they were exiled from the presence of God. And from then on, us as humans have been born into that exile, separated from God's presence. And this goes against everything that we are, the core of who we are, because we were created to be with God. And as you track forward through time, you can see how this sin has corrupted God's perfect creation. As humans, we're selfish and evil, we're greedy and cruel. And there's seemingly no way out of this exile that we're in. And not only is there no hope, but actually we don't deserve to be rescued from this exile because we sin and continue to sin against the perfect Creator God. And yet, even though we continually rebel against God, He chose to sacrifice His Son on our behalf so that we could be reunited with Him in paradise. You see, we worship a just and a holy God, and He wouldn't be just or holy if He let our sin go unpunished. But God chose to let that punishment fall on His Son in our place. For God so loved the world that He sent His one and only Son, that whoever believes in Him shall not perish but have eternal life. And today we remember that sacrifice that Jesus made for us. The sacrifice that He made out of limitless love so that we could have an eternity with Him in heaven. God's love for you was so big, and His grace was so overwhelming, that He chose to let His only Son die in your place so that you could be reunited to relationship with Him. Romans 8 verses 14 and 15 say, "For you did not receive a spirit that makes you a slave again to fear, but you received the spirit of sonship, and by which we cry, Abba, Father." Christ paid the ultimate price so that we could be adopted into sonship with Him. And we see tomorrow that Christ didn't stay dead, but 3 days later on Easter Sunday, He rose from the dead and He defeated death and sin. But let's not forget the significance of today, the significance of the sacrifice that Christ made, which tells us that you are so overwhelmingly loved by God that He chose to endure horrific pain so that you could be restored to relationship with Him. Gravity, let's use today to thank God for the love that He's shown us in His sacrifice, to thank Him for the pain that He went through to restore our relationship with Him, although we did not deserve it. And let's use today to reflect on the love and the grace that He's shown us through adopting us into His family. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you spend time with family, spend time with God, reflect on what He's done for us in this time, and we'll see you guys again soon. Much love.